Many people believe the Gothic subculture originated in 1979 with the band Baha's first single, Bela Lugosi's Dead, released in August of 1979. But the truth of the matter is that while the Gothic subculture started in 1979, the true origins date back to the 18th century, starting with a form of writing called Gothic literature, which mixes horror and romance. The first example of Gothic literature came from the author Horace Walpole and his 1764 novel, The Castle of Otranto, being followed by Washington Irving's novel, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, published in 1820. Washington Irving wrote this story while he was living in England and was based on popular tales told by colonial Dutch settlers of New York's Hudson River Valley. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow would be remade into a film in 1922, 1949 with Disney's The Adventure of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, being readapted in 1980 and once more in 1999 by Tim Burton. These stories and writers influenced many famous authors we know today, with the biggest examples being Edgar Allan Poe, E.T.A. Hoffmann, Baudelaire, and Lovecraft, who created the story of Cthulhu. Later on, the Gothic literature would inspire 1960s TV series like The Addams Family and The Munsters. However, all this gets pulled together after Bela Lugosi's take on Dracula, which inspired Baha to create the famous single Bela Lugosi's Dead, which started the Gothic subculture. While there are many goths in the United States of America, the subculture is more popular in Western Europe, with many festivals in Germany such as Wave Gothic Treffen and Mir Lunen. The event called Lumis Gothic Festival, or simply known as Lumis, is the largest festival dedicated to the Gothic subculture in Finland. The biggest Gothic event in the Ukraine is Dete Noche Tornaroda, translated to Children of the Night. The event, Ghoul School, and Release the Bats are intended to promote death rock and are usually visited by fans from many countries. The Drop Dead Festival brings people from over 30 countries to visit. One of the first American Gothic festivals is Bats Day in the Fun Park, which started in August 1999, being started by Absinthe and Release the Bats. And the event is located in Anaheim, California, near Disneyland of all places. On April 20th, 1999, the Columbine seniors named Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold attacked their home school, killing 12 students and 1 teacher and injuring 21 other people. The 2 ended up killing themselves in the school library. This incident goes on by the title, The Columbine Shooting. I'm bringing this topic up to make something clear. After that event, many people started to blame the movie The Matrix, the video game Doom, the artist Marilyn Manson, and the Gothic subculture, when none of these were the cause. These 2 boys were far from being goths, and were not considered to be goths in the first place. Marilyn Manson ended up canceling his current tour as a form of respect from those in Littleton. During an interview with Marilyn Manson in Michael Moore's Bowling for Columbine documentary, the artist had this to say.
I definitely can see why they would pick me, because I think it's easy to throw my face on a TV, because I'm, in the end, sort of a poster boy for fear, because I represent what everyone's afraid of, because I do and say what I want. Because then you're watching television, you're watching the news, you're being pumped full of fear. There's floods, there's AIDS, there's murder. Cut to commercial. Buy the Acura, buy the Colgate. If you have bad breath, they're not going to talk to you. If you got pimples, the girl's not going to fuck you. And it's just this, it's a campaign of fear and consumption. And that's what I think that it's all based on, is the whole idea that keep everyone afraid and they'll consume. And that's really as simple as it can be boiled down to.
Right. If you were to talk directly to the kids at Columbine or the people in that community, what would you say to them if they were here right now?
I wouldn't say a single word to them. I would listen to what they have to say, and that's what no one did.
Most goths out there are familiar with the term CyberGoth, a subculture not just influenced by Gothic subculture, but also punk, raver, and revit fashion. CyberGoths often listen to more electronic dance music than rock or metal. The term CyberGoth came from the role-playing game Dark Future by Games Workshop in the United Kingdom during the year of 1988. However, the subculture would not come into physical form until a decade later. Fashion historian Valerie Fanstock-Steele, who quotes Julia Borden, describes CyberGoths as a subculture that combines elements from industrial aesthetics and gravers, better known as Gothic ravers. This combination of New York and London styles began in 1999. Julia Borden felt that the hair extensions and fishnets did not go well with the Gothic style. These elements were replaced by industrial-influenced accessories, such as goggles, reflective clothing, and mostly black clothing. Valerie Steele summarized with, "Today CyberGoths tend to wear more primordial black clothing with hints of neon colors, as well as clothing made of reflective materials in PVC and huge platform boots. The hair extensions or falls often incorporate a bright color and multiple piercings are typical. Goggles are often worn. Some CyberGoths also wear masks or, in what appears to be some kind of a medical fetish, shiny PVC doctor's mask. There are many goths on YouTube who make videos on music, fashion, and especially the Gothic subculture. The best known Gothic YouTubers are as listed: Kaz Loves Bats, Leah Mouse, Graveyard Girl, Adora Bat Brat, Sebastian Columbine, It's Black Friday, and of course I also have videos about the Gothic subculture on both of my channels, Gothic Slenderman, which currently has over 10,000 subscribers, and Gothic Static, which has almost 200 after being just opened. Thank you guys so much. Gothic Architects starting in France during the 12th century and spread throughout Western Europe throughout the 15th century and some additional locations during the 16th century. Informed by the scholasticism and mysticism of the Middle Ages, Gothic architect reflected the exalted religious intensity, the pathos, and the self-intoxication with logical formalism that were the essence of the medieval. Gothic style was the dominant structural and aesthetic mode for Europe for up to 500 years. CyberGoths aren't the only subculture based on the original Gothic subculture. There are countless other forms of the Gothic subculture. For example, there are baby bats, which are extremely young goths or the children of parent goths. There's also tribal goths, pastel goths, Victorian goths, Gothic Christians, and vampire goths, not to be confused with vampirism. Which brings me to this. Emos, scenes, punk, or metalheads are not a part of the Gothic subculture despite their similarities. There are many stereotypes in the Gothic subculture, and most of them are false or not true. For example, there's a stereotype that all goths are depressed or suffering from depression. However, anyone can suffer from depression, and it does not come with the subculture. Another stereotype is that goths are Satanists, goths perform shootings, goths perform witchcraft. None of these are true as well. Goths I know are either atheists or even Christians. Many people use the Columbine shooting as a way to get people to think goths are into shootings. And like I said before, the boys who went through with the act were not goths. And even the preppy blonde-haired girl or standard hot guy can be depressed, or practice Satanism, or perform shootings, or even perform witchcraft. None of these are Gothic things to do. There's also a stereotype that says only girls can be goths. While there are more girl goths in the world, there are also many male goths, such as myself. Now, on one last note, you're probably going to put that comment saying, "If you don't want to be judged, then don't dress like that." Then I'll reply with, or you can stop judging and spreading false information about a subculture you most likely know nothing about. There's a saying, don't judge a book by its cover. Music is a highly talked about topic when it comes to the Gothic subculture. Many people believe that it's all about music, or goths only listen to certain kinds of music. If you're a goth, you can listen to any form of music you want. My topic here is not what goths listen to, but Gothic bands such as Bauhaus, the Sisters of Mercy, The Cure, Theater of Tragedy, and Cradle of Filth. These bands don't just stick to a certain genre. Most Gothic bands go for either metal or alternative and other genres as well. Now for the big question. What is goth? But believe it or not, it's not a form of music, it's not a religion, and it's not a fashion statement. It's a way of life. We goths live in this world in a different way than most people usually do, with a darker view of most topics. You can listen to rap, dress in pink, and be in any religion out there because it's not about any of that stuff. It's about how you express yourself in art forms like music, videos, painting, drawing, fashion, and other forms of expression. This is why goths are usually depicted with music and dark clothing, because that's what the work that they produce. Even if it's darker than Five Nights at Freddy's or The Purge, goth is a subculture and nothing more. We are just people trying to live our lives, just in a different way, in a more comfortable way. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the very first top 10 facts on Gothic static. I'm sure to do more of these in 2015. I'm not sure what exactly I'm going to do next for the next top 10 facts, but you can expect more to come into the future. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, maybe a favorite, and subscribe if you want to see some more. I make these kind of top 10s like almost all the time, and there's also skits and series you can watch as well.